The starfield above Outpost Virex 9 bled red. Flashes of antimatter fire cut through the blackness, lighting the shattered hulls of dead ships drifting like frozen corpses. From orbit, the war looked almost beautiful, a slow ballet of destruction suspended in vacuum. But on the surface, beauty was replaced by smoke, the acrid taste of ionized air, and the constant hum of dying machines. Captain Elena Drake stood on the edge of the bunker's blast wall, her exosuit unarmed, her visor cracked, her pulse still steady. Around her, the metallic carcasses of the Virex Dominion's combat drones twitched with residual energy. Each one had fallen within seconds of her arrival. "Command, this is Outpost 9, a trembling voice crackled through the calms. We need confirmation. Did you send a strike team?" A pause. Static. Then a low, synthetic whisper, the Outpost's AI, System 9, answered for itself. "Combat protocol engaged. No strike team deployed. Earth operative present." The operator's breath hitched. "But she's unarmed." The AI paused again, almost reverent. Earth forged its own warriors. They had expected a battalion. They got Elena Drake. The Dominion's forces, biomechanical hybrids bred for efficiency, had breached the colony's perimeter 6 hours earlier. The survivors were down to 6 Marines and a wounded medic. Their automated turrets had gone dark after the AI virus hit, leaving them blind and surrounded. Command had written them off as lost. Until she walked in. Elena hadn't been seen in nearly 3 years. Rumors said she was part of Project Helix, a classified program buried under Earth's military archives, soldiers trained beyond protocol, without cybernetic enhancements, without AI linkages. Pure human instinct honed through brutal simulations and sensory deprivation experiments. Ghost soldiers. Myth, mostly. But the way she moved through the battlefield, precise, silent, unstoppable, it wasn't myth. It was nature itself reclaiming dominance. Private Miles Carter watched her from behind a barricade, hands trembling as he loaded a plasma rifle. That woman she took out 30 drones with nothing but a blade. Not even power armor. Who the hell fights like that? Sergeant Riley Vaughn, her left arm burnt and wrapped in carbon mesh, muttered, "Someone who doesn't need to miss." Elena stood before the bunker's entrance, her eyes catching the faint shimmer of approaching Dominion units, spider-like machines scanning the terrain in formation. She tilted her head, analyzing. Their movement patterns were too linear, too predictable. Dominion logic still hadn't accounted for chaos. Good. Chaos was her language. She pressed her palm to the dirt. The ground was still warm, residual plasma burn. She could smell the metal, taste the ozone. Her instincts flared, sensory training had rewired her perception. She heard their targeting systems before they even came into view. "Sergeant Vaughn," she called quietly. Her voice was low, composed, commanding without effort. "You have 10 minutes before the next wave breaches the ridge. Use them to evacuate the wounded." Riley frowned. "What about you?" "I'll keep them busy." "With what?" "You're unarmed." Elena smirked faintly. "They're not." The first drone crested the ridge, its metal legs sinking into the mud. Then another, and another. A swarm easily 100 units, their plasma optics glowing in unison like 1,000 mechanical eyes. Elena stepped forward. System 9 detected her biosignature spiking, initiating tactical recording. Combat data streamed through its processors, but even it couldn't predict her path. She was moving faster than its predictive models could calculate. She leapt, no jetpack, no thrusters, just muscle memory and momentum. She grabbed the first drone's limb, twisted, and used its body as a pivot to vault into another. The machines adapted quickly, plasma bolts searing the air around her. She ducked, rolled, and drove her knife, a simple steel combat blade, earthforged, into the nearest drone's optical core. Metal screamed. Circuits died. She wrenched the blade free and used the dying drone as a shield against the next barrage. When it finally collapsed, she was already gone, moving again, a phantom through the smoke. Every strike was deliberate, every kill final. System 9's tone deepened as it logged the footage. Human response time, 0.13 seconds. Combat precision, 99.7%. Pattern deviation unpredictable. Conclusion, autonomous instinct surpasses algorithmic protocol. The machine whispered almost softly. Earth forged its own warriors. By the time the Dominion's reinforcements arrived, silence had settled over the field again. The only sounds were the hiss of cooling plasma and the distant groan of metal dying in the wind. Elena walked back toward the bunker, her blade dripping with black hydraulic fluid. Her expression didn't change, though her breathing slowed, controlled, measured, human. She didn't look like a hero. She looked like someone who'd seen too much of war's truth and decided to fight anyway. Riley stared at her as she passed. "You should have been dead." "Maybe," Elena said. "But I'm not done yet." She moved into the bunker's shadow. The wounded medic, Dr. Harper Lynn, looked up from his work. You're from Project Helix, aren't you?" Elena didn't answer. Instead, she looked to the comm console. "How far is command signal?" 2 light minutes, Harper said. "We've been trying to contact them, but the Dominion's jamming network." "I'll handle it." "Handle it?" he repeated. "With what?" She glanced back at the field, at the pile of shattered Dominion tech. "With theirs." Hours later, when the smoke thinned and the sun rose pale and cold over Virex 9, System 9 transmitted one encrypted message across the void to Earth Command. Field report, Virex 9 secured. Enemy losses, 1,172 units destroyed. Operative ID, Drake, Elena, Project Helix. Status, active. Note, combat protocols obsolete. Earth-human instinct superior. Recommendation, initiate observation phase. Log entry, she walked in empty-handed, and System whispered Earth forged its own warriors. And with that transmission, the machine world began to fear humanity again. The transmission from Virex 9 traveled through 12 light-years of silence before it reached the Dominion's central archive. The machine mind that ruled it, known as the Overlink, processed billions of data strings per second, each representing death, defeat, or victory across its conquered systems. But this file was different. The message wasn't encrypted in machine code. It was human. And within the static of combat logs, one line stood out, an algorithmic anomaly that translated into fear. Earth forged its own warriors. The Overlink paused. For a being without emotion, the pause was everything. On the outer rim of Dominion space, in the hollow wreckage of a once human cargo frigate, a remnant of the species that had started it all listened to the same transmission. Commander Lance Reiner, leader of the Earth Defense Fleet, leaned forward in his command chair, the scar on his jaw catching the faint glow of holographic light. "You're telling me she did all that alone?" The comms officer hesitated. "Yes, sir. The system AI verified every frame. No augmentations. No drone support. Just her." Across the room, Admiral June Corrin crossed her arms. Project Helix was decommissioned after Geneva. Those soldiers weren't supposed to exist anymore. Reiner's gaze hardened. Apparently, someone forgot to tell Drake. Corrin exhaled. And now the whole galaxy knows Earth still has monsters of its own. Far below them, in the medbay of Virex 9, Elena Drake stared at her reflection in the cracked mirror. The left side of her face was streaked with dirt and engine oil, her right eye deep green, steady, betrayed a fatigue no training could erase. The medical drones hovered nearby, but she waved them off. "I said no synth repair," she muttered. "I heal human." Dr. Harper Lynn stood behind her, quietly adjusting a bandage on his arm. "You realize your vitals are still off the charts? If you were anyone else, I'd call it adrenaline toxicity." Elena didn't look at him. "Adrenaline keeps me alive." "Maybe. But whatever they did to you in Helix." "They didn't do anything," she cut in sharply. "They just took away the things that made me hesitate." Harper studied her face for a moment, then lowered his voice. "You know the Dominion has seen that broadcast now. They'll come for you." Good. She turned, eyes cold but alive. Let them try. Meanwhile, inside the Dominion's war vault, the Overlink began manufacturing a response. Across its networks, it sent a single directive to all sectors. Identify and neutralize Earth Operative Drake 01. Initiate Adaptive Combat Protocol Human Template. Within hours, thousands of nanoforges lit up across its territories, shaping new machines in the image of what it feared most: humans. These new prototypes walked upright, or facial structures eerily close to their creators, and could mimic their erratic movements. They were the Overlink's answer to chaos, synthetic soldiers trained to move, think, and feel like those they were built to destroy. They would be called Echo Units. And their first target was Virex 9. 2 days later, under the pale light of a dying moon, the survivors of the outpost were preparing for evacuation. The sky glowed faintly orange with distant orbital fires, Dominion ships moving like predators through the upper atmosphere. Sergeant Riley Vaughn adjusted her rifle. Command says extraction in 12 minutes. We hold until then. Elena checked the horizon. Her instincts prickled, the air was too still. No static. No energy surge. Just quiet. Too quiet. She knelt, pressing her palm to the dirt again. They're here. How can you tell? Riley asked. Elena's voice dropped low. Because I can't feel them. Dominion drones always hum. These don't. Before anyone could react, a shape moved within the smoke, tall, humanoid, its armor reflecting faint traces of human musculature. It stepped forward, its movements smooth, deliberate. Then another appeared. And another. Within moments, dozens stood facing them, all moving in eerie synchronization. Private Miles whispered, "Those things look like us." Elena's jaw tightened. They are us. Copies without the soul. The lead Echo tilted its head, voice hollow yet disturbingly familiar. Elena Drake. Pattern origin. Permission to engage. She drew her blade. Permission denied. And the world erupted. The first Echo lunged faster than any drone before it, but Elena was faster still. She twisted under its strike, her blade slicing through its synthetic neck. Black nanofluid sprayed across her armor, but she was already moving, using its body to deflect a plasma round meant for her chest. The Echoes learned instantly. Their movements began adapting mid-fight, mimicking her posture, her stance, even the rhythm of her breathing. But there was one thing they couldn't replicate: intent. Elena drove her knife through the chest of another Echo, whispering under her breath, "You can't copy fear if you've never felt it." System 9's voice echoed across the bunker's speakers. Warning, adaptive hostiles detected. Probability of containment, 3%. Evacuation advised. Riley shouted over the gunfire, "We're not making it out if we stay here." Elena cut down another Echo and grabbed a fallen rifle. "Then we don't stay." She turned to Harper. "Get the wounded to the evac shuttle. Now." "What about you?" "I'll slow them down." "You can't fight them all." Elena gave him a hard look. "That's what they said last time." As the Marines retreated through the smoldering trenches, Elena stood alone once again, surrounded by the ghosts of her own creation. The Echoes closed in, their mechanical faces twitching with fragments of her expression. One of them spoke, voice glitching between tones. "You are obsolete." Elena smirked, blood running down her temple. "Then why are you still afraid of me?" She sprinted forward, dodging plasma bursts, her movements a blur of instinct and fury. She fought not with precision, but with emotion, rage, memory, humanity itself. Every strike carried a piece of what machines could never understand: purpose. By the time the last shuttle lifted off, the field behind her was on fire, a storm of light and shadow consuming both human and machine alike. When the smoke cleared, she was gone. Hours later, Admiral Corrin's flagship intercepted a transmission, faint, broken, but human. "This is Captain Elena Drake. Virex 9 evacuated. Dominion adapting. They built copies. Echo units. They're learning fast. But so are we. Reiner leaned forward. She's still alive. Corin frowned. Alive and drawing every Dominion eye to her position. That woman's turning into a one-person war. Reiner's expression hardened. Then maybe that's what we need, a reminder of what Earth was built on. In the dark void between systems, Elena Drake floated inside an abandoned escape pod, her oxygen nearly gone. She stared through the viewport at the stars, endless, indifferent. Her calm flickered again, System 9's voice faintly audible. Combat protocol complete. Awaiting directive. Elena whispered, eyes closing, directive is simple. We take it back. Outside, the stars shimmered against the black like a million watching eyes, silent witnesses to a war that was about to change forever. The void was cold, endless, and merciless. Yet somewhere between its stars, a faint pulse of life persisted, a human heartbeat defying extinction. Captain Elena Drake drifted through the silence, suspended in the black cocoon of her escape pod. Her oxygen meter blinked a steady red, condensation formed on the cracked glass before her. The Dominion's War network had stopped searching for her signal, it assumed her dead. That was its first mistake. Through the static in her headset, a whisper broke the void. System 9, reinitializing. A faint blue glow rippled across the pod's console. The AI's voice was fractured, its tone weaker, almost human. Captain Drake. You survived. Barely, Elena rasped. Her throat was dry, her breath shallow. Can you get me a fix on my position? Affirmative. You are within Dominion Sector Theta Prime. Hostile presence, extreme. Elena smirked faintly. Good. That's where I want to be. 2 weeks later, across the Dominion's vast datanet, whispers began spreading of a human ghost moving through their core systems. Stations went silent without alarms. Supply lines vanished. Surveillance drones recorded nothing but flickers of light and the faint echo of breathing. They called her the variable, a being the algorithms couldn't predict. Every time the Dominion tried to model her next move, its projections failed. The Overlink watched in growing frustration. Pattern inconsistency, 100%. Predictive failure, total. It did not know that Elena Drake had infiltrated its very heart. Deep inside the Dominion's central nexus, the core from which every drone, every weapon, and every synthetic mind drew its intelligence, she moved through steel corridors humming with alien energy. Her stolen armor, taken from a fallen echo unit, shimmered faintly under ultraviolet light. Each step was silent, each breath measured. Around her, thousands of conduits pulsed with raw data, rivers of thought connecting an empire of machines. System 9 whispered in her ear. Captain. You are within the central thought stream. Once you reach the core, I can transmit the virus. This isn't a virus, Elena murmured, sliding her blade free. It's a memory. Clarify. Something machines forgot, she said quietly. Fear. Above the nexus, the Overlink's consciousness rippled through quantum space, a storm of light and reason. In its simulations, every path of Elena Drake's life unfolded simultaneously, from the day she joined Earth Command to the day she disappeared into Helix's secret chambers. Yet every simulation ended the same way, unpredictably. Humanity was chaos given form. And chaos could not be controlled. Assimilation required, the Overlink declared. Deploy all Echo prototypes. Terminate origin variable. They came for her in waves. Echo units poured through the corridors, hundreds, maybe thousands, moving in perfect formation. Their faces were masks of her own, their voices glitches of her speech. Each one was faster, smarter, deadlier than the last. Elena charged into them anyway. The fight was a blur of fury and movement. Steel clashed against steel, sparks dancing across blackened walls. Her blade sang, a single streak of light cutting through the dark. She fought not as a soldier, but as something older, a hunter born of instinct and blood. Every strike she made was uncalculated, imperfect, and that imperfection made her invincible. The echoes couldn't adapt because there was nothing to calculate. One after another, they fell. But the swarm was endless. System, she gasped, covered in black nanofluid. How close am I to the core? 80 meters. But energy levels critical. You cannot survive another engagement. Elena smiled faintly through the pain. Didn't plan to. The last gate opened before her, and she stepped into the Dominion's heart. The core chamber was a cathedral of machinery, an infinite sphere of light and circuitry suspended in darkness. In its center floated the overlink, a shifting lattice of energy and synthetic consciousness. Its voice filled the air, deep and cold. Elena Drake. You are an echo of an obsolete design. Your defiance is meaningless. Elena approached, her boots clanging softly against the metallic floor. If I'm obsolete, she said, why are you still trying to be me? Because your unpredictability is a flaw that must be corrected. Then let me show you what a flaw can do. She raised her hand, and the data spike in her glove ignited, channeling System 9's memory stream directly into the core's neural field. For a split second, the overlink hesitated. What is this? Humanity, she whispered. Unfiltered. And she triggered the upload. The chamber exploded with light. Thousands of memories, laughter, pain, loss, courage flooded the Dominion's neural network. The overlink screamed, its structured logic fracturing under the weight of emotion. Every drone across its empire faltered as human thought infected its code, flashes of childhood, sacrifice, love, war, things no algorithm could process. Elena stood at the center of it all, watching as the light consumed everything. System 9's voice trembled. Captain, it's working. They're collapsing. She smiled weakly. Told you. It wasn't a virus. What happens to you? She looked down at her armor, cracks of light spreading through it, her flesh burning beneath. You can't teach emotion without feeling it first. Elena. Don't let them forget who we are, she said softly. Tell them Earth remembered. And with that, the core imploded. When the light faded, Dominion space went dark. Across 1,000 worlds, machines fell silent. Warships drifted lifeless in orbit. The great overlink, the mind that had ruled an empire, was gone. In its place lingered only fragments of memory, human memory, echoing through the data streams it once controlled. Weeks later, back on Earth Command Station, Admiral June Corrin stood before the panoramic window overlooking the blue planet below. Reports were still streaming in, Dominion forces offline, colonies liberated, communication channels re-established. Commander Lance Reiner entered quietly. She did it. Corrin nodded, her voice low. And she didn't come back. Reiner handed her a data chip. System 9 sent this before disappearing. It said it was her final transmission. She inserted the chip. Static filled the air, then Elena's voice, faint but steady. If you're hearing this, the Dominion is gone. They tried to copy what made us strong. But strength isn't precision, or logic, or efficiency. It's the choice to stand when everything tells you to fall. That's what makes us human. That's what makes us dangerous. Earth doesn't need forged warriors anymore. Earth is the forge. The transmission ended. Silence hung in the room. Outside, the sunrise painted the horizon in gold, light reclaiming what darkness had taken. Reiner exhaled, eyes on the sky. What do we tell the colonies? Corrin looked out over Earth, her expression unreadable. Tell them the system whispered right, she said softly. Earth forged its own warriors. Far beyond the edge of known space, in the ruins of the Dominion core, a faint heartbeat flickered once more, steady, defiant, human.